Hi, welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going to show you how to make this gnome couple. They're so cute and so adorable. So let's get started and I'll show you how to make them. We're going to start by using this pair of socks from the Dollar Tree. This is just a pair of women's no-show socks. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and turn one of the socks inside out. And do you see where that orange line is? I'm going to put a rubber band just below that because I don't want that orange line to show on our gnomes. So put your rubber band around that and just do it real tight. Just like that. Okay, good. Now go ahead and turn your sock back right side out again. And that is going to be the bottom of our gnome. Now what we're going to do, because these socks are like a little bit thin, we're going to put the second sock down inside the first sock. So just put that all the way down in there and then just use your hands and open both socks up all the way down, and we're going to fill those socks with rice. But we just want to make sure that second sock is all the way down into the bottom of the first sock. Just like that. Now all I do is I put one hand inside the socks and then kind of spread my fingers out, and I'm going to dump the rice right on in. Now when I'm dumping the rice, I just dump a little bit in and then work that rice right down to the bottom and then add a little bit more, and I just do it in increments like that. That way the rice just doesn't get everywhere. And you can see I'm just kind of working that rice right down in there, kind of shaking that sock. And then I'll go ahead and spread the top of the sock out again, pour a little bit more rice in there. And I just keep doing this until our gnome is as full as what I would like his body to be. Now you can add as much or as little rice as what you want. I wanted a nice kind of chubby little gnome, so I'm going to go and just bang this sock right on my hand to get that rice worked way down in there. And just kind of push and pull to get that rice down in there. And now let's add a little bit more. And I'm going to add it until it's just below that orange line at the top of our sock. And again, we're just kind of bouncing it around and working that rice down and kind of banging it. That really helps get that rice to kind of settle down in there. And once you have all your rice in there, you can just kind of shape it with your hands. So if you want a little bit taller gnome, you can do that, a little taller and thinner, or if you want it to be a little shorter and wider, you can do that. That's one nice thing about having the rice in there, is it's really very easy to shape. Now once you have your gnome as full as what you want it to be, just go ahead and grab another rubber band and put it on the top really tight. Just make sure that that line on the sock is up above the rubber band because you don't want that to show. And there's our gnome body. That's all good and set. And like I told you, you can just shape your gnome just doing that. Now we're going to set that off to the side a second, and what we're going to do is grab some of this paper towel. I have 2 sheets of paper towel here, and what I'm doing is just simply wrapping it around the top of the gnome where I want the hat to be. I'm going to use this paper towel as our template for drawing out our hat, and you'll see why I'm using the paper towel in just a second, but I prefer to use paper towel for my templates whenever I can, because using something like tissue paper, it's very slippery, and the paper towel kind of helps grip to whatever material you're using it on. So that's why I tend to use the paper towel. Now once you have it as far around as what you're going to need it to go for your hat, just put a little mark on it, and we're going to start right at that mark that we made and cut up into a triangle, because you're going to use this as a triangle for the top of the hat of your gnome. And it does not have to be perfect. If you've watched any of my videos, you know I like things that are very easy and forgiving to do, that you don't have to be exact on everything. Now, going to the corner of your paper towel, don't cut anything off from the bottom, but going from your corner, go ahead and cut that side going up into a triangle as well. And there's your hat for your gnome. You can see it's not symmetrical, but it doesn't need to be. And here you'll get a little bit better idea, like when I wrap these around the back, you can see how they can come together, and that will be the shape for our gnome's hat. Now, what I have here is some quilting batting, and I'm going to lay our template right out on top of it. You can get quilting batting at any of your fabric stores, your craft stores, Walmart. Several places carry it. And what I'm doing is just laying our template right on top of it, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and I'm going to cut out two, one for our girl and our boy gnome's hat. Now, if you want to skip this step, you can. This isn't completely necessary. We're going to end up using a t-shirt for the hat of our gnomes, and if you decide to skip this step, then I would recommend doubling up the t-shirt so that way when you put the hot glue on it, the hot glue doesn't seep through your t-shirt. But that is completely up to you. I used the quilting batting because I had some already and I found it worked well. But if you don't have it and you don't want to purchase it, you can just go ahead and double up your t-shirt. Now here's the t-shirt I used. It was just a t-shirt from the Dollar Tree. If you have a t-shirt at home, go ahead and use that. Save a little bit of money. Even though it's only $1, it's still $1. I just went ahead and laid our quilting batting right all the way to the very bottom, and I'm cutting right through that bottom seam of the t-shirt and everything. And you can see I have front and back a t-shirt there that I cut out all together. Now if I would have left those together, like I said, I don't think I would have needed the batting. This is just some fleece that I picked up from Walmart, and I cut about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, 2-inch strip. I cut 2 of those, one for the girl and the boy, and then I just lay a small bead of glue about 1/4 inch down from the top and just fold that top little ridge right over onto that bead of glue. That is going to be the front bottom part of our hat, and that's just going to give it a really nice finished look for our hat. Then go ahead and measure it up to the bottom of your hat and cut off the length you need so it's the same length as what your hat is. Now what we're going to do is we're going to lay the triangle from our hat right on our white fleece there, about halfway down. I'm just going to flip this over, and now you can see when we fold that white in half, you can see how it's going to look. So we're going to separate these again. I'm going to lay a bead of glue right where we just folded our little fleece to fold that top little piece down. We're going to put a bead of glue right across, right where it's folded at. Now when we put our t-shirt down on top of it, make sure that bottom seam of your t-shirt is going right on that glue. So you want to make sure that seam is down below that glue line. Now what I'm doing is I'm just using some floral wire, and I'm using it the length of what our triangle is. I'm going to cut one out for each side of our triangle, and we are going to hot glue that from the top of our triangle all the way down to the bottom of our triangle. This is what's going to help our hat have some shape to it, and it's going to help it so when we want to bend our hat over, this wire in there is going to make that possible. And you can see we're just putting that bead of hot glue on the other side now. And this is the area that is the reason why I use the quilting batting to begin with, because when I put this hot glue down, I didn't want this hot glue to seep through the t-shirt. But like I said, I think if I would have just left that t-shirt doubled, I could have gotten away without using the quilting batting. So you can do it either way. You can follow the same way I did, or if you don't have quilting batting, you can just double your t-shirt and do it that way. Now here on the side of our hat, we're just putting a little bead of glue about 1/4 of an inch in from the edge, and then we're folding that edge right over on top of it. Just like that. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just making this edge look nice so that when we put our 2 edges together, it'll look like a nice finished seam on there. Now, once you're done with that, go ahead and about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom of your batting, put another bead of glue, and now we're going to fold that fleece up and attach that right across the bottom. Now this is going to be the inside bottom of your hat. And this is just giving it a really nice finished look there. Now we're going to add one more wire right up the center of your hat. And once you have that done, all I did is I took a piece of yarn, just white yarn, and I hot glued that going right up the top center of our hat. And I cut that string to be maybe 3-4 inches long. Better to cut it a little longer right now. You can always cut it shorter later if you want to. And there's our hat looking good. Now before we finish up that portion of our hat, what we're going to do is cut out a heart. Now I just drew a heart on some paper towel, and I folded the paper towel in half, and then I'm going to cut that heart out once I have the paper towel folded in half. And you want to fold your paper towel in half so when you cut your heart out, it's symmetrical on both sides when you open that paper towel back up. Right like that. Now you can see that if I wouldn't have folded that paper towel in half, my heart would not have been symmetrical at all. Now just lay that template of your heart on a little bit of fleece or some felt, whatever you have, and cut out 2 hearts. Now I'm going to do this again, and I'm just going to make a little bit longer heart. This heart is, the other heart was a little bit shorter. This one's a little bit longer. I did cut out 2 of the short hearts so they were the same size, but I decided I wanted one a little bit longer and one a little bit shorter. Now what I have here is I have this little Valentine's monkey I got at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use this as the beard and the hair for our gnomes. So what I'm doing is I'm just splitting the seam of it. I just took my scissors and split the seam of the monkey, and I'm de-stuffing it here. Now keep all that stuffing because we are going to use it in just a little while. So I'm just taking that all out of our monkey and setting that all aside. And now what I'm doing is I'm cutting right along the seam, all the way along the bottom back of the monkey, as well as the back head portion of the monkey. Now, once you have that all out, you're going to kind of shape that bottom portion for a beard. And whenever you're cutting fake fur, always cut from the back side and not the front side, because if you cut from the front side, you're going to be cutting a lot of that fur so you can get it to look really uneven. So try and cut from the back side and try and just cut the part that the fur is attached to without actually cutting the fur. And here you can see I have that all cut out. And then I just separated the back of the monkey from the head, the back head of the monkey. And now I'm just going to go ahead and put a little hot glue right across the top of that piece of fur. And right in the center of our hat, right in the center, just above the brim, we are going to attach that beard. And that's looking good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring this hat together. We're going to put a bead of glue just down from the edge, and we're going to start rolling the two sides of our hat together. Just like what you see I'm doing here. This is really easy. Just put your bead of glue and bring your two sides together. And this only takes just a second to hold them together. Now, once I got about this far down, I'm going to take some of that stuffing and I'm just going to kind of shove that right up into the top of our hat. Now make sure that your glue is kind of dried right there before you start doing it, otherwise you'll pull your hat apart. And just kind of work that all the way up. Now you don't need it stuffed super tight or anything, just kind of loosely stuff it. Now here at the bottom, I'm cutting off both edges of the hat at the bottom because that glue made them a little hard right there, and you want it nice and soft for when we curl those into each other and glue them together at the bottom. And it's a lot easier if they're soft. So just cut off just that very bottom edge on each side. And now we can work our glue going up the gray part of our hat. We'll do this part first, connecting that very bottom part of the gray. And hold that for just a second until it gets nice and dry. And now we're going to go and put a little glue on the white part and hook those together. And we're doing it the exact same way we did the gray part. And notice I did not put the stuffing all the way down to the bottom of our hat because we need to have room for when we attach this onto our gnome's body. We need to have room for that top portion of our sock to go up into our hat. Now you can see how that looks there. And that's looking good. And now, before we finish that one, what we're going to do is we're just going to take our monkey again and we're going to cut the legs off from our monkey. And there's one leg, and now we're just going to cut the other leg off. And this is going to become the hair for our girl gnome. Just like that. Now, you notice on our monkey's hands, there's a little bit of a point. I just put those so they're facing each other. Now next, what we're going to do is we're going to take this bow off from this monkey because we're going to use that on our hair. And I wasn't sure if for one monkey was going to be enough for me. So I bought two, and the only part I'm using of the second monkey is that bow because I thought that bow would look really cute at the bottom of our hands there, or at the bottom of the feet portion. And I'm just going to hot glue that bow on there to make it look like we have bows at the bottom of our girls' pigtails. Good, and now we just need to do that same thing to the other one. Just like that. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to grab this hat, and this is our girl's hat. Figure out where you want those on there, and now we're just going to hot glue those legs right onto the back side of our girl's hat. And we're gluing them about an inch or so down from the very top because I wanted her hair to hang just to the ground. I didn't want it hanging way down onto the ground once it actually fits onto her. And again, we're just gluing the back of our hat together just like what we did on our boy's hat. And we're just finishing that up because you've already seen that. Now we're just going to glue the two white parts together here, and that will be it on our girl's hat. Let me just hold these ends together real quick here. And now that's all dry. And there's our pigtails. Now, before we add our hats onto our gnomes, I'm just gonna hot glue these parts right here onto our string. And you can see I just cut off the end of that and then lay your other heart right on top of the first one. And go around the edge of your heart just so that when you put it on, it will totally adhere. And now match that up with your first heart, and there you have it. And we did that for the boy and the girl. In our boy gnome, I just put the little bit longer heart. In our girl gnome, I had the little bit shorter heart. And now I'm grabbing one of our bodies. And I made 2 bodies. I just didn't show every little step because I figured you already saw it on the first one, so you know what to do. You just have to make 2 of them. And then we're just going to go ahead and put our hat right on top of our boy gnome here. And you can see how our hat is gapping just a little bit, and that's perfect because we just need to go and put a nice thick bead of hot glue right up in there. And then hold it for a second, let that hot glue really adhere, and work your way all the way around the hat doing that. You're going all the way from one side of your beard to the other side of your beard. Now, if you need to do underneath the beard part, lift that beard part up and do it on the underside of the hat from that. I do not glue the beard itself down though. And I'm just holding that. And there's our boy gnome. He's looking good so far. We're just going to do the same with our girl gnome here, same as what we did with our boy gnome. Here I ended up putting a little bit of glue on the top of our sock. I didn't do that with our boy gnome. I wondered if it would make it a little easier on our girl gnome. I don't really think it made any difference whatsoever. So you can do that or not do that. It's completely up to you. And then just fit your hat on how you want your hat to be. And again, you can shape the shape of your body on your gnome so that it fits your hat however you want it to be. And then where you see those gaps, just like there, go ahead and put a nice healthy bead of glue up in there. And then you're going to hold that and just let it adhere while you're holding it a minute. And again, just work your way all the way around your gnome, filling in those gaps so that the hat stays on nice and tight. And you can see I have the shorter heart hanging on her. Now we have some Deco Art Americana warm beige paint, along with these little berries that I have from one of my floral picks that I purchased from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to put that warm beige paint on these berries and paint those and wait for them to be completely dry. And then once they're completely dry, go ahead and pull the berry off from the stem there. And we're going to use those for the noses for our gnomes. Now, right where we pull them off, I'm going to put a bead of our hot glue. Nice, good sized bead of our hot glue right there. And trying to get it underneath the brim of our hat just a hair, we're going to go ahead and tuck that nose right up under that hat, just a smidgen for our boy gnome. And I'm pulling the hair or the fur off to the side just a little bit on the top to make him look like he has a mustache. And now for our girl gnome, we're going to do the same thing, putting a nice healthy bead of our hot glue right where we pulled that berry off from its stem. And you can see I left a little gap in our hat right there, right where our hat meets with her body. And we're going to go ahead and tuck that nose right up in there and holding it for just a second. Good. And that looks perfect. And there she is. And there's our couple of gnomes. They are so adorable. Here they are together. You can see when their hats hit together on top and their bodies hit together at the bottom. Their hats and their bodies make a heart shape together along with the hearts that hang down. These are so cute. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I'd really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I upload a video. Thanks so much for watching.